Here's a here's a viewer request from Mr. Jonathan Barnes, one of the finest players we have here in the United Kingdom, and I was commentating on his match from the women's versus men's team event, which was this weekend, and he had this position, and I can't remember what I said about it, but he later sent me an email and thanked me for commentating. Obviously, said how fabulous the commentary was. I couldn't agree more. And he sent me this double two, and I looked at it briefly yesterday. Um, was going to do a video yesterday, but didn't get time, and now looking at it again. So I've had about like a 10-second look at it. I don't know the answer. Um, what I do know is that John is trailing 4-8 to 13 points, and he has given away a four cube. I must admit, I don't remember this in the match. I don't remember there being a four cube, but um, oh, maybe I do. Yes, yeah, or not. Well, anyway, I'm just going to assume that this is the right position. Um, so obviously the score's a major concern. Um, John really wants to play for play for a gammon. He doesn't really mind being gammon because that only makes a difference between going to 12-4 down to losing the match. If he's 12-4 down, he's basically lost the match already. So, with that in mind, I think my instinct, I kind of remember, was just to play 2 to the 21 and make the 3 points. So, I haven't got arrows, so play two of these checkers up to there and play two down here. Now, generally, that just improves your offense improving your offense in the best way is to make the 3 points. That's the best way you can make an offensive play, and then that prepares to, if this checker doesn't come out, to hit this man with one of the spare checkers that you have here, possibly. Um, and then the other part of the double two is that you are trying to escape these checkers. So here they're behind 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're behind a block of 6. But if you come up here, they're only behind a block of 4. So the things you want to do most are escape these checkers and make these points. So the play that screams out at me first is just to come up and come down. Now, why could it be wrong to just make the play that feels right? Well, because it leaves lots of blots vulnerable here to be hit. So if we make our play and we come up to the 4 point and make this, then if Julia then rolls a 1 or a 4 or a 7, or she rolls an 8 because she hits with this backman as well, or an 11, then we get a checker hit. But my um, my instinct suggests that um, you just have to take that risk, because if you make a play, let's say, where you could make this point here, so you could bring this man from the 16 point to the 10 point, and then you could play another two. You would come up here maybe, so you would only leave a 4 vulnerable. Then even if you don't get hit with a 4, you still haven't done anything about getting these checkers free from the block. And on your next go, you're not going to be able to bring a checker out unless you roll a 2 with a 5 or a 2 with a 6. And so you might actually even have gotten yourself a worse position than you would have had you have just actually come up. So The problem is that because John sent this to me, it suggests there's some what we call quiz factor, which is that the play that seems obvious isn't the right play, and that we need to rethink it and think more deeply about it. But if we are going to come up with at least two, the main question is, what are we going to do with the other two? If we say that that's our priority, then could we come up with three of them, and then play one of these outside men here? Well, there doesn't seem that much need to do that when you're going to be improving your position more by making the 3 points. Certainly, the fact that you want to try and gammon your opponent here and win 8 points rather than four suggests that it's quite an even bigger priority than usual to make this point. So, um, I don't see much point in. Another consideration would be, well, to let's say you discard the possibility of coming up, you could play two down to this 3 point and then hit lose. But then that hardly gains you anything. Again, the problem is that you still have to come out from the back. So I'm definitely coming up to the back with two. That's um, absolute certain. Then I'm going to pick another two, which I'm not as sure about. But as I said, and I'm just repeating myself, that making the 3 point is better than, let's say, than hitting this checker with the man from here. I'm just going to go with making the 3 point, coming up to the 21. And I suppose a second best play would be coming up with all three men and then another two. And so I'm going to let these men get hit. The other point that I neglected to make was that if black does hit one of these men, then let's say she rolls a 1-2 and hits and then moves on to there, or hits and then moves the 2 to there, then we will have return hits from these men, so that when we come in with one, if we roll a certain number with one of these, like a 4 or a 6, then we will be able to hit these checkers back. So it's not all bad if we get hit. So that's my play. I'm going to look at the evaluation now. And there was a quiz factor. That's interesting. Let's just put it on a higher setting. Wow, it's better to hit loose. And then the third best play is just to come up with one. Let's have a close look at this. If you're still watching, this is very interesting. I mean, I didn't really honestly consider that this wasn't that my play wasn't the best play, so I'm very surprised. And I was only trying to make sure I didn't miss something obvious. But the best play is, as we can see with the arrows, is to hit loose and make the 3 point. And doesn't make all that much sense to me. Maybe because something to note is that if white comes in with a 1, then lots of coming in 1 numbers with 4s, 6s, 5s are going to break the 16 points. That's something to note. Whereas if you don't hit, you don't give black those bad numbers. So that, in fact, seems to be the key to the position. The key to the position is that you must hit in order to give white some bad numbers, and even when he hits back, black some bad numbers. So even when you hit and black comes in with a 2 and something, it's cracking this 16 point. And I have to confess that I didn't see that at all, and that's a key feature of the position. In fact, I think my play goes right down to here. Let's just extend this. Yeah, this is something I didn't see, but it's once you've seen it, you've seen it. You do have to hit to activate the breaking of the 16 point. That's a nice position. Um, Nice to be able to spot it. But then, having said that, the next play doesn't involve hitting, and then these plays involve switching. So I'm not going to pretend I know. The only thing I'm doing in this video is going through it as I would have done and over the board and trying to make sense of it, tell you what my thoughts are. But the second best play doesn't involve a hit, it just involves coming up with one. Again, there are some bad numbers, so 4-3, things like that are bad numbers, but or 4-3 will hit twice, sorry, but some fours are going to break, like 4-1, 4-2, 4-1 will break, and it's to do with these breaking numbers. It's to do with these breaking numbers, and then the third best play is really strange. That doesn't make sense. So then all bets are off. It seems like we can't work out the logic of the players. Um, Very good position. I'm completely bamboozled by it. I mean, I can understand why some of the plays are correct, but then this makes some sort of sense. But then to switch and why, I would have to look at it for a lot longer, and I don't have that much time. Maybe I'll do another video on it afterwards, but I'm going to post it on the Backgammon Strategy group, see what people think, and see if they can come up with the best play. All right, thanks for watching.